Order.
One of your favourite clubs, Manchester City.
Indeed.
Just at the weekend there, they released a special limited edition, the 93 minute, 20-second Aguero shirt.
Oh, yeah. Martin Tyler's claim to fame.
Absolutely. And special football boots to go with it, with the same colour palette worn by Aguero back in
Profiteering.
2012. And it commemorates the 10-year anniversary of that famous goal.
Okay.
Your Lordship, what I'm going to say to you now is this. Is it important for clubs to celebrate their history in such a fashion?
Well, it's commercially enterprising, isn't it? It's monetising a moment in time. It's like we're getting into the territory of using NFTs to digitally press images and making money from it.
Yeah.
Is it cynical? Is it cynical monetisation? Is it celebrating something? I think it's a hybrid of the two. And if there's a demand for it, then who's to suggest that the demand shouldn't be supplied?
Well,
if
exactly.
people want it, then they should have it.
I think they do. I mean, City stars wore the shirt prior to the clash with Newcastle at the Etihad.
Fantastic.
It's very popular. The fans liked it. So, yeah.
Is it priced fairly? Have we done that research, or have we not bothered? We're presenting a half-baked case in front of me again.
It's just available to season ticket holders. Is that right? Yeah. So there you are. It's to the fans who put their money down each and every season.
So yeah, but is it? It's not given to them, is it? It's not for free.
It's a limited edition. There was only 120 pairs of these boots made.
Right.
So if you want a pair of those boots, you got to get in quick.
Yeah.
To celebrate
So
the
interestingly,
Aguero moment.
people will. So then there's a double edge, isn't it? People will perceive that it's an investment because
Ah.
they've got one of 120.
There you go.
Then your next thing you'll know is it's been put on eBay.
And that's a commercial man in your
Yeah.
Lordship.
Yeah, and you could put the shirt up there from the loss of the semi-final to Real Madrid and see what they get for that.
Thank you for that.
Next.
You were doing so well. What's under the hammer?
Order.
Your Lordship, can I take you to Jewellery Gate in F1? The FIA, F1's governing body, has said once again that it plans to enforce a long-standing rule for drivers not to be allowed to wear jewellery whilst they are driving.
I know.
It came into force, actually. The dispute started before Australia last month. The new race director
got a
said
new CEO
they
now.
were now enforcing this ban.
Yeah.
Now, some are saying it's pretty darn difficult. I mean, drivers were given a 2-race exemption, including Lewis Hamilton.
Who then decided to wear as many watches and pieces of jewellery as he possibly could, yeah.
Well, this was so that the piercings he's had, that the jewellery that he wears could be removed with professional help.
Yeah.
It was to give him time to get the jewellery removed. I mean, can you believe this? I mean, I'm looking at you right now, Your Lordship, with your ears pierced, your earrings in, and that
Nipple rings I've got.
With your nipple rings and that huge diamond ring, which blinds me every morning. But where do we stand on this? I mean, who should blink first in this one?
Where
This is Jewellery
do
Gate.
we stand on it? Where in a sort of draconian world, we stand on it. If it's a rule, do as you're told. Right. On the flip side of it, if the only thing you've got to worry about is getting hurt by your jewellery when you're driving around at 200 miles in a baked bean can, 200 miles an hour, then what really are these rules for? They're a little bit, to my mind, seemingly meaningless, because it's not going to be the pierced ear that's going to kill you if you crash into a wall at 200 miles an hour, is
Well,
it?
you see, the very people we're talking about, the drivers, seem to be in the habit of giving the 2 fingers up to anything that comes in like this. There was also a note to remind the drivers their underwear must comply with the rules and be fire resistant.
Yep.
And then we saw Sebastian Vettel. He made clear his feelings about the underwear ruling at the Miami Grand Prix when he walked about the paddock wearing his drawers over his race suit, as you used to do when you mimicked Superman.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean,
Or
honestly,
Superman, in your case.
where are we at with this? Someone's got to blink. Should the FIA say, do you know what, we're up a cul-de-sac with this one? Or should the drivers say, OK, we concur?
But okay, who's the general beneficiaries of these policies? You would think it was the drivers.
Yes.
You would think that the whole mechanism behind this is to ensure that the safety of the drivers. Whether they've exceeded it and they want to go beyond the realms.
There you go.
Look, someone just texted me something about Verstappen has got a piercing and does take it off. Right, so
really?
there are certain drivers that will do things in a certain way because they're recognised authority, and there are other drivers that don't want to do that. And there is a balance. There's this balance to be had between who really runs sport.
There you go.
And it's
Who's in charge?
Who's in charge? It's happening in football. It's happening in sport. In other sports like F1, there is a perspective that ultimately, if it's a rule in sport and that rule has been passed by the governing body, which you take the privilege of being underneath and participate, and all your wealth comes from,
Yes.
then maybe, just maybe, you should do as you're told. Just maybe. I mean, put it out there for thought process. Maybe just do as you're told.
So Hamilton should be told, professional help or not, get those earrings off.
Well, I don't know. They were talking about certain piercings that he had in particular parts of his anatomy.
Well, you used to have one of them, didn't you?
Well, it was a big one. It was a huge one, yes, as you can appreciate.
That was a daft decision on your part.
Yeah, it was, but it held it all together.
But funny.
Where are we going with this? Why have I got to do this?
So let's get your ruling on this one. Do you rule in favour of the FIA or do you rule in favour of these drivers who seem to just think authorities not for us?
If the nuance of the particular reasons why these rules are here are good and set and good solid background in do as you're told, if they're not and they're frivolous and there's no motivation behind it besides rule for rule's sake, then I think that the driver should have a right to push back against it and negotiate a middle ground between the two.
You got there. Magnificent. Thank you so much. In other words, did you sit in the fence?
No, I gave a proper answer to a proper question.
Thank you.
That you didn't advance.
I didn't advance it. But
I asked myself a question and I answered it.
I will advance this. Under the hammer, the North London Derby.
Order.
A huge prize on offer this Thursday in the North London Derby. An Arsenal victory will see them secure Champions League football. Spurs win it, and it keeps the race alive.
Yes.
What is a more attractive prospect, do you think, for the players this summer? And I'll put it in this sense. Spurs and Europa League football, working with Conte, or Arsenal and Champions League football, but you work with Arteta?
Honestly,
which set of players are getting the better deal?
I think Spurs, Conte's a better manager. I think he takes managers to great players that want it, by the way, players that have the appetite to be successful, players that want to change and understand that the manager in this instance will drive you, push you, cajole you, persuade you, drag you kicking and screaming into a place that potentially gives you an opportunity to win and win big. Ask Victor Moses, going from changing from being a certain position to a left wing back because he was converted into that, and look what he got from it. He got to win a Premier League and a whole raft of other things with Chelsea. You look at it and say, my view, if Spurs are going to support this manager in the summer, then I think Spurs have got the ignition sequence to lift off. I don't know why I think that. I just think Conte's got it. I think the temperamental twaddle that we had to listen to from him earlier on in the year is gone. I think he's building the team.
Twaddle that you said the media made up.
No, I didn't say they made up.
Yeah, you did. Carry on.
No, I didn't.
You did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. I definitely didn't say that. I said it was unnecessary temperamental twaddle is what I said.
He did, Luke, didn't he?
No, I didn't.
You did.
No, I did not. Anyway, going back to the case in point, the point is that what do I think is the better bit? I think that if Conte can get the support from Levy that I think will come, I think Spurs, look at the players he's bringing in, look at the DNA of this football club, to use an expression I don't like, is being adjusted. Romero was a bit flighty with some of the balls he played out, but boy, is he a centre half in terms of what he gives you when he's on blob. So and you look at the other players in there. I think it is Spurs. Even though there's Europa League football. Yeah, but there's Champions League and Europa League, and Arsenal will be in Europa League football pretty shortly afterwards.
I thank you. We got there again. And a final one under the hammer.
Oh, more
order.
If Liverpool and Manchester City, and they could don't think this might not happen, it could happen.
No,
if they finish the Premier League level, what's the fairest way to decide the title?
Well, there's a whole raft of coefficients, isn't there? I mean, I thought there was gold, there was points, then there was goal difference, and then there was goals scored, then there was head-to-heads, then there was wins. It's not going to be possible. There's not going to be. What is the likelihood?
Could be.
No, there's no likelihood.
Where were you at the weekend when everybody was saying Manchester City scoring 5 there? That could have implication, of course, goal difference. The Premier League rules,
got to do with what I just said?
The Premier League rules state that a playoff will be used to determine a champion should the top 2 finish level in points, goals scored, goals conceded, and head-to-head. It's never happened, but it could happen. If it was to happen, should we be talking about a playoff to determine the winner and the loser, or a sharing of the medals?
Playoff.
A playoff.
Yes.
Your Lordship, I want to thank you for the way you committed to Judge Jordan this week, and we shall do it again next week.
Be committed for being on it.
We're at the courtroom and we're into a break. We're heading towards 1 o'clock.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.